Solitude by Alexander Pope. There are a few words in this one that are unfamiliar, maybe unfamiliar to us, or at least spellings that we don't use anymore, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. He starts out, well, first of all, the title, we know, ode. What is an ode? Do y'all know?
Ode?
Ode, O-D-E, ode, yes.
Like joy or something?
Like ode to joy. An ode is like a, kind of like something that's written in praise of something. Okay, so if it's an ode on solitude, then it's in praise of solitude. And what is solitude?
Like you're alone and no one's near you.
Being alone, yes. Aloneness. We'll call it aloneness. Okay, and so he says in the very beginning, happy the man whose wish and care a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground. So he's saying the man who has some acreage to live on, breathing his native air, his own ground. Okay, so he owns his own land and he lives out there and breathes the air, the fresh air out there. That man would be happy. Okay, so kind of living on some land away from society. So he's like out in, he's gone and bought himself some acres out in the country, lives away from everything. Whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread, whose flocks supply him with attire, whose trees in summer yield him shade, in winter fire. So essentially he's living off the land. He doesn't even have to go anywhere to get anything that he needs. His herds that he has give him milk, his fields provide him with bread, his flocks are what he makes his clothing out of. So he's living off the land. Blessed, who can unconcernedly find hours, days, and years slide soft away in health of body, peace of mind, quiet by day, sound sleep by night, study and ease together mix, sweet recreation and innocence which most does please with meditation. So this is just basically saying, it's a very long way to say it's all very nice. Everything is nice. Everything is wonderful. It sounds great, right? It sounds wonderful. And then he says, thus, or therefore, let me live unseen, unknown, thus unlamented, let me die. Unlamented means no one is mourning his death. And then he says, steal from the world and not a stone tell where I lie. So he's basically saying, I don't even care if I don't have a tombstone. When I die, marking where I'm buried or where he probably wouldn't be buried if he was all by himself, but, wherever he lies in his death. So this guy really, really wants to be alone. He doesn't care if he lives alone. He wants to live alone. He wants to die alone. He doesn't even care if no one misses him when he's dead, and if no one puts a tombstone wherever and buries him, wherever, and he doesn't have a funeral. Okay, so thematic ideas. Okay, what are some thematic ideas? Yes. Loneliness, possible. Oh, what did I do? Okay, loneliness, but oops, sorry, I messed that up. But he doesn't seem to think that he would feel lonely. Death is definitely one.
He's content.
He is content. think he's depressed? He doesn't sound depressed. He
Well-
sounds happy to me.
In the last, like, paragraph.
I'm gonna put misanthropy.
What's that mean?
It is the hatred of people, the hatred of man, the hatred of humankind, or mankind, really. So, because anthro is man, and so it's like people who don't like people. So, anything else? What is it when you don't need anybody else? You feel like you can do it all on your own?
Independent.
Right, independence. Okay, so think about how this relates to the giver. The committee of elders have set the community up, have they set the community up to where people can be independent and be all by themselves and survive and live off the land like that?
No.
No. They have set the community up to where it's very interdependent, where everybody needs everybody else and nobody can be alone. And yet, think about the way that on the inside they are all alone. Because there is no real love, there's no real deep emotional connection with anybody. So they have to stay with each other as a community, but deep down they are completely isolated. They're experiencing solitude and emotionally. Does that make sense? Okay, so you, again, in your literary analysis paragraph, you could choose this one and you could talk about that. You could talk about how people are alone, what type of solitude is in the giver, what type of solitude is he talking about, and then independence versus interdependence and that type of thing. Does that make sense? Okay.